That is one big pile of shit.
Good evening and welcome to the Joust. My name is Naggy. I'm here once again with my co-host, Liam McNeil. Now, Liam, you've been travelling all around Australia to the far reaches of Australia.
Yeah, didn't really go all around. Just went one side to the other and then back from the other side to the one side. It was wonderful, but you'll have to forgive me, Joust, as I flew in on the red eye, and I don't know what month it is.
This is the, of course, this is the west coast of Australia.
Yes, went to Fremantle. Those rugby league hating Nazis.
Yes,
over there.
Yeah.
It was a wonderful time. Wonderful time. Lots of friends, family, eating, drinking. I went to a prison museum. I went to a plane museum. I went to a boat museum.
The
submarine museum was closed, and so was the army museum. But whatever. I got most of my nerdy kind of machine museums in.
Yeah,
it was great.
Yeah, but it's all over there not in Perth. How far's Fremantle from Perth?
It's like the bottom of Perth.
Bottom of Perth,
yeah, it's kind of the same, but not the same. But if you tell people it's the same, they'll fight you, and it's that kind of thing.
Is it like the Geelong of Melbourne kind of
Well,
thing?
I've never been to Geelong.
Right.
So, yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
It's all the same. Yeah, I always think Australia's got these big cities. We like to plant really big cities.
But there's only 4 of them.
Yeah, there's only
so we
4
have them. We just don't have many of them.
And so we plant a little city quite close by. And Newcastle's sort of like a Sydney little city.
Well, maybe that's a good comparison. Fremantle is Sydney's Perth. No, yep. Fremantle is Sydney's Newcastle, but they're attached.
Okay.
Yeah. That was great.
Yeah.
Beautiful old buildings. I love old buildings as well. Very historical place.
Yeah, I've never been.
I highly recommend it.
Yeah.
Food and drink over there too, my God. They know how to brew a beer. They know how to bloody manufacture a wine, all the good stuff.
Someone told me it's expensive for beers over there. You say,
life's expensive. Everywhere you go is expensive. In this cost of living crisis, in this economy, thanks to Tony Abbott, life in and of itself is expensive. But it was pretty expensive.
If you get a pint over there, is it a schooner? What we would call a schooner.
We would. And we discussed this the other week. Most of my travels just centre around trying to find out what people drink their booze from.
Yes.
Some places had schooners.
Oh, schooner glasses. Yeah. Okay, I thought you were going to say shoes.
It was a nice little taste of home.
Yeah, they're all drinking out of glasses, though.
Czechs drink out of shoes.
So
notably the boot.
When you look at what people drink out of, it's just mainly glasses.
Yeah.
Different size glasses and shapes.
Different formats. Yeah. But mostly pints, which are good because they're big.
You can always get, like, some places had as small as like a 5 ounce.
Well, they got
7 a pony.
A pony. And we were discussing this. It's quite amazing to look at what different territories and states of Australia call their different beer glasses. You mentioned you've got the pony, which is your, I think, 7 ounce. The 5 ounce has another weird name. If you go to the Northern Territory, a schooner's a pint. If you go to Melbourne, a pot is a middy. It's all very confusing.
It's all top.
When I write my history of pubs book, which is coming within the next 2 decades, Joseph, glassware is going to be heavily featured.
Yeah, it's going to be most of the book. I think. Yeah. Oh, you go to Queensland, they also say pots up there.
What a strange place. But you did some travelling as well, Nate. We've been globe-trotting.
Yeah, I went all the way to the Blue Mountains.
Yeah.
It was mainly up,
which is the Fremantle of Sydney.
Fremantle of Sydney. You just keep travelling up until you reach the top and you stop.
But you didn't see the 3 sisters, did you?
Oh, I saw them, the ladies. Yeah.
I thought it was hazy.
It was hazy, but we saw them a few times, so they're very prominent there.
Yeah.
Wonderful view when it's clear.
Why not? It's a wonderful geographical feature.
It is, yeah.
I remember we took Brittany up there a couple of years back. We said, this is the most beautiful, beautiful geographical feature. It points prominently towards the sky, and we got there, it was fog.
Fogged, you couldn't see it.
Visibility was about 10 metres. You couldn't see them. It was really disappointing. But I'm glad you got to see them.
I did. I have seen them before, but it's always nice to revisit the ladies.
There?
Yeah, they're still there.
Okay, good.
Well, 3 of them. There's 1, 2, 3. I counted them. I said, keep up the good work. And
the father of those sisters must be very proud of himself. A proud daddy.
They started off, obviously he was a mountain, his mother was a river, and then look what they've created. But speaking of expensive, beers are very expensive. Have you said? You go to a lot of places.
It's ludicrous. It's insane.
Almost, the cost
Our taxpayer dollars are hard at work driving the prices of beer to unrecognisable Heights.
Yeah, and where can you go, Liam, if you want to watch the State of Origin on Wednesday, where you will be, and I will be watching the State of Origin, and it's at the Wickham Park Hotel, the Wicko.
The Wicko, as we
famously.
so much love
Yeah.
and adore,
Yeah.
and that's a place where you're not going to get stung with an expensive schooner of beer.
Not on Origin night, because of a great special for the Origin, 3 of them, 3 games. There's $6 schooners.
Tui's new, Tui's old, and 4X if you're a bastard from further north.
All the favourites, I sometimes call them the ladies as well, the 3 ladies, the 3 sisters. But
I think the Tui brothers would be a bit upset hearing that.
well, you know, there's they're long gone now, aren't they? Was it always they started with Tui's old, wasn't? And then it was just that was their own beer, and then they went to the Tui's new.
Well, the Tui's new, and the reason, excuse me, I've got the plain breath.
That's all right.
The reason they call it Tui's new is because at the time
Yes.
when the Tui brothers introduced it, it was a new style of lager. They called it a new Australian lager,
Right.
And then they just shortened it to Tui's new.
Tui's new.
But I love the simplicity. We've got old and we've got new.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's it.
I used to have a great joke when I was working at function venues. They'd go, "Can we have a schooner of old and a schooner of new?" And I was like, "Where's he something borrowed? Where's he something blue?"
Hey,
So we did a lot of weddings.
Weddings,
you
of
see.
course. Yeah,
That joke got a laugh like maybe 10% of the time.
It's good to take the edge off the day.
Yeah.
But not only 4X Gold, of course, you know, if you're looking to have some mid-strength, but if you're a little bit hungry, Liam, there's dollar wings
Yes,
as well.
which
as
I adore, and I know you do too.
Yeah, they're doing another burger special there. They're down at the kitchen. And they're having their own New South Wales special
Yes.
burger. Hopefully, the whole thing's blue.
Well, that'd be ideal, and of course, the Joust burgers have been such a raging success and very
yeah.
enjoyable. You
Yeah.
can only imagine the Blues burger take it to a whole new level.
And now you might have been to the Wicko before, and you're expecting, oh yeah, I've been to the Wicko. It's got that lovely beer garden, etc., etc. No, it's got a brand new huge screen
An
there.
enormous screen
Yeah.
for watching footy.
Perfect.
One
Perfect.
of life's greatest things is a huge screen,
Yeah.
broadcasting footy out to the masses.
I think so.
I love it.
But down there at the Wickham Park Hotel, I'll be probably there way too early. We're both discussing when we're going to get there. You said you finish work at 3 o'clock, and I was sort of in my mind thinking 4:30. But the game doesn't start till 8. It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
We're gonna be ripping it.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a wonderful time. But if we look a little bit further to the past, or looking backwards, not forwards, forwards not backwards,
twirling always, twirling.
Unfortunately, Liam, we didn't have the best game being the Newcastle Knights versus the Bulldogs there on Friday,
Which was really
night.
disappointing. You
Yeah.
know, the night before my birthday, I would have thought that AOB would have get in the sheds and said, "Boys, there's an old crippled man who really needs you to win, and how do you know that? Because I crippled him."
That's exactly
he said,
right.
"It's his birthday tomorrow."
He loves crippling. And
And yet what they did was provide me, what's the opposite of a gift?
I don't know.
A birthday disappointment.
A robbery.
A robbery. It was a birthday robbery. They stole something from me.
Yes,
They
they
stole
did.
a part of my soul.
Yeah, well, I think we're all expecting coming off 4 wins on the trot, 1, 2, 3, 4, that we were going to come out
4
there.
Kalen Pongalus wins on the trot.
Very special wins. Wins that we weren't expected to get,
Yeah.
and we got
Went
them.
from 4 wins on the trot to 1 loss with the trots.
Yeah. And we thought, we play the Dogs, and then they sort of played us into form, but then they've played us back out of form.
Is this the ultimate revenge from the Dogs after the
think it is.
shellacking
Yeah.
that the Knights gave them over 2 games last year?
Now, I like the idea of revenge when I'm the one revenging. But when I'm the one that's
Being revenged upon.
revenged upon, it's not nearly as fun.
Yeah.
No.
And with the weather, revenge truly was a dish served cold, which I
freezing.
don't understand.
freezing,
That's
you know,
saying.
two
Revenge isn't a dish; it's not a heated meal.
it was only, that's right. It was. We only managed the 2 points off the back of the Jackson Hastings
Which,
penalty goal.
if anything, that is worse than scoring 0
yeah,
points.
it does sometimes. Hurt
Yeah,
a
I
bit
don't.
more.
I like that even less. If we had held to 0, I think I would be less upset.
Because the 2 points so at the start of the game appears like a confident sort of like, we'll get the tries
Now,
later.
I didn't see it like that. I saw it as taking the coward's way out. You know,
Yeah.
we've discussed cowardice in all its forms on the show so far this year. I think the Knights, in that instance, showed a great example of cowardice.
Yes, well, yeah, maybe they saw the fear in our eyes.
Yeah.
And they said, this is going to be another shellacking. Josh Adekar...
Shellac they did.
They shellacked. Josh Adekar came away with two tries in the first half.
Great.
I think it was,
Now, and again, it's hard to watch good tries scored against your team, but God, I love a chip and chase try.
Yeah.
You just don't see it much in the modern game, and
Yeah.
I think the world is worse off when there's not many chip and try chases being scored.
Yes,
you
yeah.
know, I think it brings great harmony
Yep.
to the world. You know, if they could just send a Steeden over to Vladimir Zelensky, quick chip over the top and regather to score.
Yeah.
Well, would have been over in 10 minutes.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's always on,
It would
too.
have just been a polite disagreement between two Eastern European powerhouses.
It's a good sort of, it's always when the clock's ticking down and then you think the chip and chase could be on here. And it really breaks the game wide open.
My first try in first grade was a chip and chase.
Did you chipped it?
I chipped it, I chased it, collected it, scored against Maitland out of Marcellin.
Wonderful.
Yeah, it was a great day.
Great time. I'm surprised you can still remember it with your,
So am I.
all the concussions.
So am I.
All the concussions you said.
Your first grade try, you don't forget.
You never
and we
forget.
drank enough to forget that day.
Liam, I rewatched this game and I thought,
Why?
I didn't
You're
get
a
to watch.
masochist.
I didn't get to watch the full thing
It was
live.
autoerotic football watching.
Yeah, and it wasn't fun, but knowing, I was expecting almost it being worse than it was upon the replay. Like,
Was it worse than it was, or was it as bad as it was?
as bad? No, it was, I think, less worse. I don't know if I think a lot of people are getting quite upset about it because it was a game that we were expected to possibly win, and seek revenge, be the put revenge upon.
Yeah, we're revenging upon their revenge from our revenge.
Yeah, and then
last year.
they reversed it. It was the reverse revenge, but there was obviously massive problems with their attack, and there has been, I think, for the last 4 games that we've won, there's still been issues with their attack,
Which have been somewhat masked by the 2 points on the table.
Yes, that's
When
right.
People look back in the past, they'll say, the Knights, they won 4 games, they got 2 points on the table. They must have been attacking powerhouses.
Yeah, exactly right. Even the
Were we, though?
Well, the games against the Titans, if you look at the most recent win, it was 5 tries. One of them was a penalty try, but 3 of them was basically when we created something up the middle, right in the middle of the field, 40
guts
metres
work.
out, and then having a beautiful finish by Davey, Mr. Armstrong.
Davey from the Navy.
Davey from the Navy.
Probably will be for life.
Yes. So it's, I think it really highlights some issues that we've had for quite a while. Our backline movement seemed to be non-existent. Cogger and Hastings, the 2 graduates from the School of Unremarkable Boys.
The prefects of the School of Unremarkable Boys.
They're certainly there. They don't seem to be working together. We've commented to say that they're 2 similar men. They're 2 similar shaped men. Neither of them possess, exciting pace. They're more, ball movers. They get the ball to where it needs to be.
Yeah.
But take Bradman Best and Caitlin Ponga out of the Knights, and obviously Dom Young from last year.
Boy, that's some excitement that's not in the back line.
And it's also pace, pace and excitement. And I think we just we didn't really outmatch anyone.
There was no pace to our Hale.
Yeah, exactly. And it was.
You watch Hale and Pace?
No, I don't know
Not
what
funny.
you're talking about.
No, they're an English comedy duo. The English comedy duos are.
Yeah,
they weren't very good.
Oh, they were just around for a while. That's
That's the only thing I think of with pace in it.
It's like any show that's like got more than about 12 episodes in England, they think, it's a national treasure because they don't make much. There's even like that. It was like Only Fools and Horses. It's like 40 episodes. The show was on for 25 years.
They're creatively bankrupt.
Yeah,
And morally bankrupt, the English.
but there's been calls, Liam, for a bit of a shake-up, a bit of a time for change, if you will, for AOB, even to say that we might need to inject some sort of excitement. And there's been the biggest call, I think, for Will Price to come into the side at
Which
6.
is an interesting call. Now, this is something that you and I discussed this in our pre-season.
Yeah.
Now, I suggested, Joust, as I thought, with quite a well-educated and well-informed suggestion, that by round 12, Will Price would be pairing Jack Cogger in the halves.
Ooh.
Now, what round have we got coming up, Nagy?
13.
Oh, bugger. So I was wrong already.
I'm almost there.
I was wrong already, and also it's probably going to be Jackson Hastings. But do we see Will Price as a viable alternative? Now, I'm going to go back to dear friend of the show, Barry Toohey, a couple of weeks ago on Twitter. It was suggested to him that maybe we bring Will Price in the halves, and Barry said no. He said he hasn't been great in reserves, in defence, specifically. And if you're not doing great in reserve grade in defence, maybe won't translate particularly well. So that'd be my gnawing sense of doubt.
Yes.
Would be that Barry's switched on. He knows what's going on. He put a hard no on it. But it would be fun.
I somewhat agree, like to the point of which if you've got Will Price, if you've got a demanding 7 like Jackson Hastings, who I do think has some value in just being that really shouty ownership 7, which I think take him out, you can really lose.
One of those really annoying like Jack Russell type.
Exactly.
halfback.
You need someone to really take ownership over the side.
Lots of yapping.
And demand the ball. But then if you've got Will Price in the side, really, I think he only needs to make about 6 or 7 touches. But at the same time, a 5/8 can really only be as good as the outside backs. And I feel like our outside backs are lacking a bit of pizzazz, if you will. An edge, spark. Like Dom Young was incredibly fast, and he obviously offsetted having the Greg the Bus.
And I think Will Price's great strength, as you mentioned, is his maybe not explosive speed, but his exciting speed.
He's threat to run the ball, which we don't have at the moment. Both halves, you can make the full commitment as the opposing side to think, look, even if I get this wrong, I can chase this bloke down.
Yeah.
Because I'm faster than him. It's like playing against children. But if we add another player, and this I'll butcher his pronunciation of his name, the Fijian boy.
I'll take it from you, Latai Mokundreki.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I think him being 6'6" tall, at least it adds.
That's a large fella. It
adds
a lengthy boy.
It adds something to at least put like a bit of question to the opposition side. Like if you're going to be receiving chip kicks for them to be attacking, you're not going to be kicking it to that fella. If you're dropping out and you want to go the short, you're not going to kick it to that side. It at least adds something to. You look like a fool if you do, Liam. If you go, why would you kick it to the tallest man in the field? He's also played reasonably well. He looks like he's got some holes in his game. He's definitely not a perfect winger, but
I think you said he scored some tries over the weekend in reserve grade.
Two tries.
That's a handsome amount.
There's also McCarthy, this fellow McCarthy who I've never really seen before. Incredible pace. It looks like we've got and Fletcher Sharp and Fletcher Myers down there.
There's pace.
Yeah.
In the depth positions, there is pace. Yeah.
I think that if we're going to add, Will Price and want him to be the sort of running threat, you have to add something to at least get an idea that he'll pass to someone fast and dangerous. And at the moment, we don't look fast and dangerous.
No, we don't.
We're doing a lot of other things right. It's just that fast and dangerous part of the game we do not have.
Which, funnily enough, very important part of the game. Fast, speedy, danger.
If I was describing NRL, I might say it's a fast and dangerous game.
You would.
But except if there wasn't, except if we're the Newcastle Knights, we just look a bit sort of.
And then, of course, the most dangerous game is man himself.
Slow. We look a bit slow and average with the ball, and obviously,
which doesn't concern most people. Slow and average.
Slow and average. Yeah. Well, it's great for me. If someone would call me slow and average, I'd say thank you very much.
A wonderful compliment to pay you.
But Liam, it wasn't. It was hard to find a hats off to a player that we thought
I
did
couldn't
particularly
find
well.
one.
Well, I thought Brodie Jones, Liam.
I appreciate your positivity, Naggy.
Heads and shoulders, knees and toes. Brodie Jones, the druff. And look, he's formed. He sort of came into the last few years. He was in and out of the first grade, and he sort of was this. He's this back rower, and he filled in a centre a few times. But he's not a very big man. But
no, he seems to be bigger this year, though.
He's gotten chunkier.
Chunkier up top.
Yeah. He seems like he's gotten thicker, and he's more of that coming on more as just a middle forward. And I like that. I think he works really hard, and he's now built up probably something like 50 first grade games.
That'd be close, yeah. My brother-in-law made a funny one. He did a funny while we were over there. We walk around Freo and he said, that's Brodie Jones. And I looked around expecting to see a human. He was pointing at the pug.
A pug dog.
A dog with no neck.
There we go. Yeah. And so
good.
Hats off to Brodie Jones. So Liam, you had an interesting hats back on.
Well, now I have a hats back on because if this man was wearing a hat, maybe he wouldn't have done what he did. Jacob Saifidi. Now, if you'll see here, that is fairly clear noggin to noggin contact. My theory is that if Jacob Saifidi had been wearing, say, a cap,
peak cap,
maybe a wide-brimmed hat, an akubra, even a fedora, that might not have happened because he would have just bumped him with the brim. And now bumping with the brim, I'm not in the judiciary. No. You're not in the judiciary. None of us in this room are on the judiciary. But surely, if you bump a man with a brim, if you brimmed him, it's considerably less dangerous than just bonking him with your forehead.
Yes, I think so.
Because it's solid forehead on the Saifidi brothers. They have got some big foreheads.
Yes.
So my hat's back on goes to Jacob Saifidi in the hopes that he will wear a hat next time he plays, and maybe this silliness won't happen. But on a more serious note, that was the fucking dumbest thing I've seen a Knights player do this year.
Well, we see some dumb things as well.
So many dumb things. That was the worst. It was what, 79th minute?
Yes.
Reid Marnie's known for these little sillinesses that he did. And Jacob Saifidi said, "Yeah, I'm gonna go with it."
It felt like it was a real sort of cherry on the top of the dog's win, which was unfortunate. I don't know really. It's going to be very interesting how we move forward from this, Liam. And I suppose the best way we can only look forward to this is look at the next game that we're going to be playing, which is this Saturday.
In a linear sense, you're exactly right.
Yeah, Sunday. Sorry, this Sunday. In a linear sense, as we move forward through time, and we can't go backwards. We only have to move forwards.
Yet we can't go backwards yet.
Yes, we've only got a certain.
But even if we do develop the the technology of going back in time in the future, we'd know it already because someone would have come back in time from the future.
You think so? We would have run into them by now. Yeah.
Or they would have turned up like in the 7th century with an iPhone and be like, hey.
And they'll be like, hey, I'm here from 50 years in the future. We say, when do the Knights win a premiership? And they say, don't ask that question. And we go, oh, shit.
They say, oh, you're a lovely person, but I'll leave it at that.
They pat you on the shoulder and go, oh, my dear boy. And
they're a good team.
We're a good town. We deserve a premiership. If we're looking at the Storm game now, it was surprising to see that the Storm is right up there at the very, very top, touching the ceiling.
It's been such a weird season. The fact that the Storm are at the top, but they don't seem to have played their best footy. They've had injuries upon injuries, and yet there they are in number 1 hole.
Three losses. They have had 2 byes, which is only a few teams have had the 2 byes, but they're up there with 20 points, 3 losses. But one of their losses is us. We beat them. We've beaten them before,
and last year beat them also.
We beat them before.
So there's form.
Yeah, there's
the Knights have form.
A little bit of form, which isn't bad. We're going to be without Kalen Ponga and Bradman Best still.
No.
Yeah, still. And it's going to be... we have been pretty fortunate when we come into a lot of teams that have had injuries.
And especially with the Origin calendar. Around the Origin calendar, we've got the teams you want to have during Origin time. We've got the Storm, as you mentioned. We've got the Panthers, as you mentioned. We've got... Others as well. There's a bye in there.
Yeah.
You don't really want to be playing against the bye in Origin time because famously the bye never has any players featuring in State of Origin.
Much like the Knights.
So if ever you want to play against the bye, it's not during Origin time because they're not weakened nor are they strengthened.
No, they're the same. They're consistent. Say what you will about the bye, but you know what we're going to get. It's going to be down there in Melbourne. Down there, no one wants to go down there.
I've been twice. I had a good time. But
in winter? Did you go in winter?
No.
Yeah, it gets cold.
It does get cold.
Yeah. I suppose because it's winter.
Thanks, Tim Bailey.
Yeah, I'm on. It's going to be an interesting game to work out. Are we going to play better against the better side? They're going to be missing, most likely, the team list isn't out yet, they're going to be missing players like Harry Grant. Obviously, they're missing Cameron Munster. The Jerome Hughes is coming back from a niggling calf injury, which is he's approaching 30. I think he's about 30. It's a bit of a 30-year-old injury. You get calf niggles, lower groins.
For a particularly running player like Jerome Hughes, I think that's a concern.
Yeah.
But again, this time of year around Origin, it's hard to make any predictions whatsoever. So, we're just going to kind of take it as it comes.
It's madness. I just hope we add some pace. I just think that's the only way we're going to add. When I'd say there's also, looking at the team, it's really, when you got someone like Tyson Frizzell that's been in the back row for so long, and you think, well, how are we going to replace him? And a lot of teams go to the market and go, let's look for another Tyson Frizzell.
Do we need to go to the market, though?
No, I don't.
We've already got 2 very promising young second rowers.
My point being, Kai Pierce-Paul, young, as well as Dylan Lucas, young fella that's come through the... we've got an import, and we've got someone that's come up. And I've got to say, they play some of the best back row football. As far as versatility, you want 2 different styles. And I think still... Kai Pierce-Paul has not reached his potential yet.
But again, he's playing really well and hasn't reached his potential, which I like because, again, he's building his game on the fundamentals. Solid rugby league without being flashy.
Yeah.
So when he brings the flashy stuff into his game,
woo! It's going to be exciting to see. Woo. Hopefully he can do that against the Storm. Woo. We're going to take a halftime break and we'll be right back to chat everything State of Origin.
Yes!
Just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in.
Liam, it's the time we've all been waiting for, and it's the State of Origin time. But
Footy Christmas.
This
is what the punters are here for. This is my favourite time of year. This is more exciting to me than the future birth of my child. It hasn't happened.
Hasn't happened yet.
Yeah. But Origin is going to happen.
Yeah, it will certainly. And quite often, a State of Origin serves as a sort of mid-season. It's a time where your friends who you banter against. You're a Penrith supporter, Gav Morton, and you're a Saints supporter, Billy Barton, and we hate
you're
you.
a South supporter, Cade Hines,
and all
people we hate.
All the people we hate through the season. But then we can all come together and we say, hang on a second, we all support the same team.
Look, it serves a really important role in society, State of Origin, because it does bind us all together with a shared hatred. We've all got our individual little hatreds and vendettas and beefs and what have you, but at this time of year, we come together and throw eggs at a different group of people.
That's right.
And it's fun. I love it.
It served Knight supporters quite well.
Yeah,
because
We've got bugger all to cheer for.
Well, this part of the season, quite often, we're a bit sad. So, and we support the Blues, most of us, and they often don't do very well
and
either.
those that don't, tune out now, would you? Do us all a favour.
Or the Queensland supporters.
Yeah.
You don't like them.
No.
I remember you had a party in 2013 that I went to.
What did they do?
No, it's just a blues-only party. And there was
yeah.
friends of ours that were Queensland supporters, and you said, no, I do not want them here, which was fun. It was very, very firm. I like that approach. But Liam, in a much very State of Origin type...
Who was that? Who didn't know that attend?
Tim Raytano, I believe.
Oh, okay.
No, Seth Bode, my housemate at the time.
He's a lovely fella.
Yeah, but he wasn't allowed.
But he understands.
He
He knows the gravitas of that time of year.
Well, I did deliver the news to him. I said, where are you going tonight? I said, I'm going to watch football. He said, I come. I said, no.
Oh.
Yeah, but you got over it. He's supporting the wrong team, Liam. That's basically what's...
It's his choice.
Yeah. There's lots of footy news happening in the segment let's call The News.
Now, unlike most weeks, this week's news is mostly footy-based.
It's footies, yeah.
It's nice to have, news that isn't about NRL players being idiots.
Yes, no,
it's really enjoyable.
It's less crime this because we got a lot of the crime out of the way 2 weeks ago.
There's still bits of crime happening
bits.
here and there, but it less so.
Yeah, Liam, early on we predicted our Origin teams, and you said there's going to be Edwards at fullback. And
I said Tedesco. You said Edwards.
Oh, you said that's right. Sorry, and then then it turns out we're both correct.
Well, in a way, we were both wrong, but in a more important way, like you said, we were both correct.
Yeah,
which I think that's a thing of beauty when two men with half a brain. The brains come together, and somehow they both oppose each other.
There's obviously with Edwards out there with another lower groin injury.
I do have a retraction I need to make about Dylan Edwards.
Yeah.
I know I was so proud of him being a good Bellingen boy. He was actually born in Albury, but moved to Bellingen at a young age. So
we hold that against him?
No, I know. No, if anything, I'd love him more.
Oh,
he adopted Bellingen as such an important part of his soul and his being. So.
It was a bit sad to see. Not only like James Tedesco come back on the side, I felt like New South Wales possibly going through this transition period. It was like, this is new and exciting, and
now back to old and exciting. Still exciting, but older.
It's good to have that handy replacement there of someone that's played 22 games consecutively and was the former captain,
and arguably New South Wales' best ever fullback.
Yeah. So we've just got him there, just ready to call in for Edwards' lower groin injury. But it does worry me now that Dylan Edwards is, I think, 28 years old, and obviously played in the last 4 grand finals. He's won 3 of them. He's won a Clive Churchill medal. But there's a possibility that we're looking at that he might have missed his window for Origin.
Which would be such a shame. It'd be such a shame to see a player of his caliber. And for so long, he was the most underrated player. Dylan was always Dylan. I think he's now appropriately rated. Everyone realises that he is really, really good at rugby league. And so for him to, have the selectors finally say, Dylan, we think you're finally good at rugby league. Yep. It's taking you 28 years. You've been bad for 27 and 364 days. But at 28, you're finally good. Let's have you on board.
Come into the side.
And then his lower groin exploded.
Yeah, apparently. Yeah, quad injury, which is, I don't know, I suppose.
Which one's your quad?
Yeah, it's a
quadriceps at the back of the calf. No, the back of the thigh.
Front of the thigh.
Front of the thigh.
Yeah, I believe. Yeah, that's where the 4 muscles are. Yeah. Neither of us are doctors. But it's we just know it's lower than your groin. Yeah. It's a terrible season for lower groin injuries.
Not the lowest groin.
No, not the lowest. No. It's upper lower groin.
Yeah.
And if
would we consider it mid groin? Because it's kind of adjacent to the groin itself.
I suppose if it depends on which of the 4 muscles that he actually did.
And then you got to take into consideration: is it the left lower groin or is it the right middle groin? It's a whole thing. Again, not doctors.
Not doctors. But he does join the list of possible players, the best players never to play Origin. Now, there were some interesting people. Matt Orford is number 1.
I always find these lists intriguing, especially when you see players who have played for Australia but have never played Origin. I always find that such an interesting thing. You have players like, I think Darren Britt might have played 8 or 9 tests for the Wallabies, never played Origin. Antonio Kafusi played a couple of times for the Roos, never played Origin.
Joel Clinton?
No. Yeah. Oh, I'm getting this up with Trent Waterhouse, yeah.
Yeah, Joel Clinton came in the 04 Anzac test. That doesn't exist anymore. When did that happen?
That is a crying to. But you know what? Tony Abbott.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I think so.
Thanks again, Tony. Another one of life's great pleasures
Yeah.
ruined by meddling bureaucracy.
I was only thinking of it the other, I was on the drive over. I was thinking to myself, hang on a second, we should have had the Anzac test possibly around Anzac Day, but now we're in Origin, and it just
hasn't happened.
It just never happened.
Yeah.
It was. I don't think it was ever on Anzac Day. It was always but it was early in the season.
It was Anzac-ish.
Because it was before City Country, because if you remember, you were exempt from City Country selection if you had played for Australia.
Oh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And it was so it was obviously before that, but that's when Joel Clinton, I think in 04, played in the test at Newcastle, I think.
Good
possibly.
for him. Good for Joel
May
Clinton.
5, 2017.
Ah.
2017 was the last.
2017, so it's been gone for
And
that
it died
long.
with a whimper.
Yeah, well, I
which
didn't.
is such a shame.
It took me 7 years to catch on.
But that list in front of us we see here, the best of the best top 10 players who never played Origin. As you mentioned, Matt Orford at the top.
Dally M medalist, Matt Orford.
Dally M medalist, not only that, had a young, youthful baby Mitchell Pearce selected ahead of him. And
Yeah.
Orford was he at the peak of his powers then when Pearce was selected?
Yeah, well, 08, Manly won. Yeah, probably.
You know what it
yeah.
was? It was because Orford was so compact.
He was.
They looked at him and said, that's not a halfback.
They called him
We
the
can't
Ox.
pick an ox. Yeah, we can't pick a cloven-hoofed beast of burden to play in the halves.
No.
That's not how halfbacks work.
No.
Speaking of small halfbacks, Preston Campbell, where was his blue jersey?
Another Clive Churchill medalist.
Yeah.
No, sorry. Was he Clive Churchill? No, he
was
wasn't.
a Dally M.
He was Dally M winner. Back in
For the Shacks.
for the Shacks. And
Yeah,
then
Shacks.
Betty Barber, another Clive Churchill medalist.
I met
said
Preston Campbell-
Dally M medalist. The two medals that exist in rugby league.
I
get
met
them
Preston
confused.
Campbell when I was either 14 or 15, and I was already towering over him, but he was so lovely.
Yeah.
I had a great time with Preston for the 10 minutes I spoke to him about footy. But then, another great one we've got up there is John Sutton. Now, John Sutton was in the very, very tough position of a train-off to make the New South Wales Blues team against Josh Reynolds. You remember that? The train-off? They said, we got one spot left for the bench utility.
Yeah.
And they said to Josh Reynolds and John Sutton, we're going to make you both train, and whoever trains harder will
Right.
get picked. And Josh Reynolds was famously a very, very good trainer.
Yeah.
And so he got picked, which was an odd one.
Well, it would have been the year we won. It would have been 14 then. Or what it
Potentially.
must have been. Yeah, because I think Reynolds only played in the.
He only played in 14.
He was
14.
the sixth, though, wasn't it? Wasn't the Bulldogs pairing with Hodkinson?
Yeah, that was Bulldogs half pairing. But yeah, there was.
in 2014. I
So
think
maybe it wasn't the year.
he might. Well, no, sorry, he might have come in the year. No, that's right. There was the Josh Reynolds in 2012.
So that might have been the train-off.
when he came in at hooker, and they're like, he can play hooker because he's in the halves, and he threw the worst passes from dummy half you'd ever seen. Like they just weren't good. They were like big balloon passes. And then
Well, passing a balloon would be pretty hard.
Alex Johnson obviously still might make it somehow. I don't know. It probably doesn't really fit the mold.
Well, I'd hate for it to be a Nathan Merritt type selection.
Yeah.
You know, who'll get to the end of his useful career, and then they'll finally throw a Blues jersey at him, and then Greg Inglis will come out of retirement and curb stomp him.
Yeah, that's right.
Like he did to Nathan
He
Merritt.
did, yeah.
Another sad one was the tale of Chris Lawrence.
Yes.
Remember Chris Lawrence coming into the NRL? I think he was still in year 12 when he debuted, and fastest player on the planet at the time. He chased down Billy Slater.
He was quick.
Once. He was quick. But then he played a couple of tests for Australia, then had that horrifying hip injury.
Was it a hip injury?
It was a
that
hip
slowed him
injury
down?
that was particularly bad because once you have a bad hip injury and you're fast,
no
you're
longer
not fast anymore. So, but he did go on to have a wonderful, long and storied career. But that was one of the heartbreakers. Was never seeing Chris Lawrence in the sky blue.
Face. You remember when he broke his face?
He
broke
did
his
break
face.
his face too, yeah.
Yeah.
And then another one that surprised me that I didn't think about was Andrew Walker.
Of course, going on to play for the Wallabies.
He did. He had that's it. His league career wasn't very long because he took his skills over to the 15-man game.
He did.
And he did really well. Played for the Wallabies a bunch, but I'd always forgotten that he never actually played Origin either.
Yeah, it's just,
And then John McLean up there.
John, as well. Yeah,
Nathan Blacklock was an interesting one because there was 3 years, I think, when he was leading try scorer in the National Rugby League. Still couldn't get a blue Guernsey.
I saw him once watching a Super League game where he was matched up against Leslie Vonacolo, I believe was the
Volcano.
the volcano on the wing. He was,
Yeah.
and he got in the first half he conceded 4 tries of just Leslie running over the top of him, and he was hooked.
Well, Leslie was one of the original kind of power wingers.
Yeah.
He was huge. He was
huge.
strong. He was fast. He had it all.
Yeah.
And he had a great nickname, the Volcano.
The Volcano.
You know, if you've got a good nickname, you're 95% of the way to having a great rugby league career.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of great nicknames getting around anymore.
There isn't. It's a crying
We
shame.
We did hear that James Tedesco is called Squid James after his
For racism reasons.
racist remark that he made to an innocent Korean woman.
All she was doing was out trying to have a good night, and he just went and yelled Squid Games at her.
Squid Games, yeah.
And then the Roosters somehow managed to play it off as, it wasn't racist. He didn't understand what he was talking about.
Yeah, he knew.
It's the Spencer Lenu defense.
It's the only two things that people knew about Squid Games. It was Korean and it was, I don't know the other thing.
That
it
was
was
it.
Korean.
And murdering.
It was-
Korean and murdering.
Yeah, it was Korean and murdering. It was fun. A bit of fun.
But what a team you could create out of those players.
Yeah, I know.
You
No,
know?
the selectors that would never been. Are they all?
And of course, we forget, dear friend of the show, Rennie Matua. Rennie Matua loves our online work. Rennie
he does, yeah.
made a comment on one of our videos the other day. It was a smiling, a laughing emoji.
They did. Yeah,
Which
yeah.
from a rugby league player, that's like
the highest compliment you can give. Yeah.
it's like a 7-page dissertation on why your podcast is the best in rugby league. Thank you, Rennie.
It was an interesting round of tipster's nightmare, you could say, of this with the shortened.
Well, I'm a bad tipster, so any week I
It's
put my
always a
tips in
nightmare.
bad. No,
Yeah.
it's a nightmare. Yeah.
It was one of those rounds where if you're in an office tipping comp, that it would be like someone that doesn't follow rugby league would get 5 out of 5.
And then our man behind the buttons who follows it quite closely, Pom, 1 from 8. Yeah.
One from
Origin, I feel like they should just.
One
They
from
should
5.
just.
Was it 1 from 5? 1 from
Oh
5.
yeah, shortened round. I feel like in Origin they should just suspend all tipping competitions.
Yeah.
Because you don't know what's going to happen.
You did get a 0 from 8 round 1 though. Didn't
Which that's harder than getting 1 right.
Yeah, that's
Getting
right.
0 right. That's amazing. That's a skill.
you? should. It should
The
be
reverse Rain Man.
It's
Episode title.
it's
Already taken.
but it was all the expected wins didn't come up. Obviously, even including the Knights who were favourites. But an unusual win of Saints being Penrith, and then Parramatta, who didn't look like doing much, and it was also sacked their coach. They were playing so badly.
Well,
beat
now,
the Sharks.
there's an interesting phenomenon. Everyone talks about the bounce back once you sack your coach. The next week, they're going to be good. They're going to win.
Yep.
The statistics prove that it's not the next week, but the week after that. 2
is
weeks
it?
on from the sacking is generally when the team will bounce back. So was Brad Arthur sacked 2 weeks ago?
I think so. Yeah, was that
There
right?
you go. I'm just saying.
yeah.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Urban legend, perhaps. Call me a conspiracy theorist.
Yeah.
But that happened.
Was Danny Badiris' second game against the Storm when he got had his when he was coaching from Rick Stone? Rick Stone got sacked.
Yes.
And then it was there or thereabouts. He hadn't been. I think he only coached 5 games or something.
Was that the Gidley kick from the sideline?
Yeah. That was the.
Oh, the
20
famous Gidley kick against Storm. Oh,
Yes, yeah, 20.
Where everyone had left.
Yeah, 2014. Is that all lining up all correctly in my mind? No, the Gidley kick was still when Wayne Bennett was coaching it.
Because Travis Waddell was playing and he was a bit of a Wayne Bennett
Yeah.
fella.
Fella.
He's one of Bennett's
Yeah.
fellas.
But we did it again in 2015, which was very surprising.
What an odd history we have against the Storm of winning games that are not supposed to be won.
Yes, well, it's typically us and them.
Yeah.
Liam, as we look at the table, it's unusual. Like the Knights are sitting way down there in 11th, but it was 6 wins, and then
Some would say languishing in 11th, but we would disagree.
if you look all the way up there at the Dolphins, they've got 7 wins. So really, it's on a knife's edge. Just the success or failure of what appears to be in this comp is really in a few games. If you string a couple of wins together, you climb up that ladder.
My
quite quickly.
concern, though, when it comes to top 8 implications, is that for and against there, negative 39.
Doesn't look good.
If you look for and against, the only teams worse are the Dragons, who are bad, the Titans, who are bad, Eels, who are bad, West Tigers, who are more bad, and the Rabbitohs, who are the baddest bad.
Yeah.
So, we're ahead of the bad teams
Yes.
in for and against, but quite behind on the good teams.
And
you
I think
see.
we're the 3rd worst for points scored, which is not great. Because
Especially given that stretch towards the end of the year last year when we were the best.
well, the entire season last year we scored the most tries out of anyone, which was we're definitely not getting that this year.
No.
So but I'm still got there's confidence within my.
Well,
mind,
if you
Lee.
look at it as well, the Storm are coming in position number 1.
They are.
Now, what is 11 other than 2 ones?
That's true. We're twice as good.
Twice as good,
Basically-
exactly. Yeah.
It's basically what the
Double
what the,
ones, baby.
what the latest trying
Snake
to tell
eyes.
us. But Liam, of course, we're looking towards State of Origin there, which we'll be watching on the big screen at the
Yeah.
Wickham Park Hotel.
Brand new, shiny, big screen.
8:05, Lee. Doesn't it start late?
It does.
It does. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to be there at 4:30.
Might have to have some extracurriculars on board to keep us awake.
It's going to be exciting. It's going to be exciting now, Liam. I was looking at these two teams,
Yes.
and I looked at New South Wales, and I said, I don't really know what I'm going to get from that. And then I look over at the Queensland side, and there is some interesting selections there.
They're two very differently structured but equally odd 17s.
Yeah.
It's really quite strange. I think if we start with, as we always do with the New South Wales Blues,
Yes.
the interesting selections that I think warrant a lot of discussion are in the hooking position, Reece Robson.
Yes.
I think the whole state of New South Wales,
Forgot about
except for Reece Robson and his parents,
Yeah.
thought that Api Coruscant was a lock
Yes.
for the number 9 jersey, because Api Coruscant has been one of the best hookers in the competition while being on the second worst team in the competition, which is not it's a hard feat to be the best while being in the worst. You know, that's a tough one. So when that selection was named, I was a bit perplexed.
Few eyebrows raised.
Both of mine.
Yeah.
I assume both of yours. I can't see yours because they're so thin and wispy. but I
They're
assume
wispy,
that.
but they did move. There was also Zach Lomax was spoken about at Origin, and he was playing career best football, especially for the first 6 rounds. I never actually thought he would get it though. I thought I liked the idea of it more than him actually being awarded a jersey.
Yeah, it was more. It was going to be more of a vibes thing. It's like Zach Lomax doesn't get picked, and we go, oh, okay, whatever.
Probably. Yeah.
Who cares?
But now he has actually been picked,
Yeah.
and I've gone back in this reserve thought that I was like, well, at least he can kick.
Yeah.
In case the goal.
Oh, he has
goes
got a
down.
good boot on him. Because who would be New South Wales' first choice kick goaler?
It could. Yeah, there's heaps. I don't know.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, sick. That's nice.
Nico.
Crichton, Hines. Yeah,
Oh,
there's going to be quite a few.
For some reason, I just drew a blank.
That's all right. Well, there's going to be a competition, but it doesn't matter how many of them go down.
Kick-off.
Yeah,
They're going to have a kick-off and see who can kick 15 from 15.
It's the other one that's sort of a bit perplexing to me, Liam, is the bench with Isaiah Yeo there at 14. Usually he's a starter.
Yep.
He's not this sort of like impact player off the bench, so I don't know where he comes on and how many minutes he's going to play.
What I've heard, a theory from others who are smarter than I, they reckon that maybe a McInnes for 20 minutes to start and then bring Yeo on. Because obviously he's fantastic over 80, but 80 in clubland is more equivalent to 55 to 60 in Origin. So it might be the McInnes absolute, tackle bot machine to come in and absorb pressure as he does so well, using nothing but his head, and then bring Isaiah on. Because look, Cameron McInnes, whether we like it or not, he's going to bleed a bunch.
Yeah.
So he's going to spend a fair bit of time in the blood bin.
He will.
I think having a blood backup for Cameron McInnes is a wise decision.
Yeah, just someone to...
He's the Kevin Campion of the modern age.
Someone to just be able to literally give him their blood.
Yeah,
At
absolutely.
half time.
A transfusion. That's the only reason he goes there.
Yeah.
He's a transfusion option in case Cameron McInnes bleeds to death.
And also Hudson Young on the bench as well.
Well, the 4 forward bench, I'm glad you brought that up, Naggy. The 4 forward bench was an interesting one, and this leads into our talk about the Queensland interchange bench. There's been a raft of injuries in the NRL this year of outside backs early in games, and then a complete reshuffle, which leads to a team losing. If we
HIAs
lose,
even,
HIAs,
10 minutes,
if you lose any of your outside backs there, any of the back 5, where do we go? Does Hudson Young go to centre? Does Crichton go to centre with, Ola Kawatu coming on? That lack of cover, which in the past I don't think I would have been concerned about.
Yep.
The enormous amount of lower groin injuries, HIAs with outside backs, that does worry me a touch.
HIA being the upper groin.
The topmost groin.
The topmost groin,
the predominant groin, some would say.
And Queensland has put in a bit of contingency for this by having Selwyn Cobbo there.
Do you think Selwyn Cobbo sounds like the name of someone who was in the Kelly gang but then got kicked in the head by a horse and got sent home?
Yeah.
So this is Ned Kelly, this is Ted Kelly, and this is Selwyn Cobbo.
Yeah. It does. Yeah. It sounds like a name of yesteryear. You don't see too many Selwyns getting around.
No, not many.
But it seems like a classic Billy Slater move where he's got it all worked out. He even said Selwyn Cobbo, we don't necessarily have a position for him. We might create one, which gave me some sort of worries when I heard that. I didn't know what he was going to be doing.
He has been playing a great season.
Yeah.
So he is one of those blokes. You just go.
Do you think
just be on the field? That's all you got to do.
2 fullbacks. That was our suggestion before with Ponga and Davey.
Well, then of course,
fullbacks.
2021 we had 3 fullbacks for the Blues and won by a huge margin, 50 points to 6, which we'll discuss in a sec.
Selwyn and Reece all the way back there. both just hang back as two fullbacks.
Yeah.
I don't know if they can. I don't know if they. What other positions can he create? I don't know. Is he going to run the water? I've been racking my mind. I don't know what is he going to do.
Mate, someone's got to peel the oranges at halftime.
I do. That's a position. You get a jersey.
I think the biggest one for me with the Queensland side, one that's made me happy,
Yes.
is the omission of David Fafita.
Yeah, for the likes of Jeremiah Nanai.
Yeah. Fafita's, and I think it comes back to people making misassumptions about Kalen Ponga's game because no one watches Knights games.
Yep.
People are making the same misassumptions about David Fafita's game because they're not winning every game by 40 points. They think, oh, David Fafita's lazy. He's not trying. He's blah, blah, blah. He's this, he's that. He's really good.
Yeah.
He has been last season. He has been this season. And all the things that
They're saying about Fafita really is about
really
Nanai.
apply to Nanai.
Yeah,
and so I found that a very, very, very strange selection choice, but one which I'm glad about. So yeah, that was just an odd one.
If you cast your mind back, Liam, to the 2021 and 2022. No, that's not when we won, did we?
2020 Queensland won the unwinnable.
Yeah.
21, 22.
No, that's not right either. It was 18-19 we won, so
Yeah.
we won them consecutively, lost 21.
We should have written this down.
Won 21, lost
Yeah. 22,
lost 23. So, but if you remember Brad Fittler coming on as
show?
coach, not coming the show, coming on as coach, and he asked to come on. I said no. He said, if you're not coaching,
Well, he wanted
you
us
don't
to
want
do it all barefoot. It's too cold in
well,
winter.
that's the thing.
Yeah.
He was all about put the phones in a box and
Yeah.
feel the grass with your feet, airy, fairy, woo,
But
magic.
here we record in the gentleman's bathroom at the Wickham Park Hotel. You can't take your shoes off.
No, it's
cold tiled floor.
Freezing.
It'll catch your death of cold.
But what the media was all about that, and they said he's changing the game, he's opening it up, he understands the fellas, and then he went on to sort of a win-loss, loss-loss, win sort of record. Now Slater has been a media darling for this new sort of way. Oh, he understands, and he's got this. He thinks in
Work-life balance.
4 dimensions, thoughts, and all this stuff. But I tell you what, if he loses badly in Sydney, the media will turn on him immediately and say, "Why did you put Selwyn Cobbo on the bench and didn't use him?"
Absolutely, but that's the thing about Origin. Every single story, because it is such a protracted series.
Yeah.
Everything's a knee jerk.
Yes.
Everything that goes out in the press the following week, it's a knee jerk because it's not like, oh, this has been building all season. This was a concern for months and months. Like, no, this happened and now it didn't happen. We have to write everything about it until next week.
I've been trying to cast my mind back for exciting game one moments, Liam, and and some of them we can't mention due to the people being incarcerated. But the one a person that hasn't been incarcerated, Sean Timmins, to my knowledge, I think he's still out there amongst the community.
Good, honest Illawarra boy,
Yeah,
Sean Timmins.
kicking the field goal in Golden Point in game one in 2004.
Off the left boot, and it was 40 metres out. It was
big.
It was
Yeah.
a hoof of a kick.
Yeah, this was also the series that Freddie came back in game 3.
Yeah. Called out of rep retirement.
Called out rep retirement for game 3, but Sean Timmins, they're always riddled with injuries. But he was playing 6, which wasn't even the position he was playing for the club.
He largely played lock.
Lock, yeah.
But
And
a good
then-
ball playing lock, hence the selection at 6.
And managed a wonderful kick to win 9-8.
What a great scoreline.
was-
That's a good State of Origin scoreline. I've gone the other way for my favourite Origin 1 game.
What was that one?
50 points New South Wales, 6 points Queensland, 2021.
That feels good, doesn't
That
it?
felt great. I remember watching it and they're playing 3 fullbacks. What are they doing? And the 3 fullbacks dominated the whole game.
Was that the game in Melbourne? Was that the Perth?
Yeah,
Oh, right.
packed Optus Stadium.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, because one of the greatest wins in
This
New
was
South
a different
Wales.
one. This was the one where Toa got the double at the start, and then Tedesco, and then Trbojevic scored, and then
Yeah, Turbo got a hat trick.
Yeah.
Latrell got a double. Toa got a double.
Perth was the game 2 the year before though.
Oh, okay. But
Yes.
it's still...
But anyway, that's one of my favourites. 50 points, 6 points. My
Yeah.
God, what a chasm
Yes.
between best and worst.
It does. It seems like, that series as well, which we still only won 2 of the games, but the way that we won those 2 games is really quite emphatic.
I think the combined points total in the first 2 games is like 82-6.
Something like that.
It was
yeah.
awesome. It was great.
It's going to be interesting to see the new coach, Michael Maguire, Madge as they call him.
They do.
Not to be confused with Mary McGregor. They seem to give these
Madge and Mary.
Madge and Mary, these women names to these sort of New South Wales affiliated coaches. But it's going to be interesting to see. Like, I had a theory that they gave it to Michael Maguire purely to fail because they. This was my.
No, you didn't bring this theory up. This is news to me.
Tinfoil hats.
Yeah.
I think they was just had to be
Hoochie coochie.
I thought it was going to be a bit of a seat warmer for someone who looked like they weren't going to coach next year in first grade, and Craig Bellamy. And I assumed they were just warming the seat for a Bellamy appointment.
Well, it's funny because we remember Bellamy had that one series, but this was back when you were Origin coach and full-time club coach, and Bellamy had one series as a coach, and he didn't succeed.
I think he might have had two series, and he lost the second of the two 3-0.
There we go. Oh,
He lost them both, though.
He lost them both, though.
Oh,
yeah.
gross.
So it was. I thought they would still bring him back as sort of being a full-time Blues coach, and him, But then anyway, it turns out probably not the case. And if Madge wins, probably even one game, they'll keep him on for another.
But
year.
I think Maguire's kind of coaching philosophy works well in Origin.
Shouts.
He's fired, he shouts, and that's it.
Yeah.
Which over the course of a full season, it gets exhausting getting shouted at every week. But 3 games a year, that's fine. That's easy.
It's not common that you necessarily see a coach of a team that gets the spoon and he gets fired in that year, and then you get the sort of highest honour of coaching, the representative side. It's odd. It's an odd move, but there's only 3 games, I suppose. And I think he only won 3 games at that time with the Tigers.
He did too
in his final year.
Well, that's all he needs to win for the Blues. 3 games. He did it. What was it last year?
The year before.
The year before, he did it.
Yeah.
3 games, won 3 of them.
That's it.
Out of 29.
So
That's a good ratio.
The halves pairing, Liam, we've gone for the long-haired boys of Jerome
Yes.
Luai, who continues to grow his hair long, and we've got the perpetually wet hair of Nico Hines.
So you notice in that picture on the screen, Joust, they've had to Photoshop his hair dry.
Yeah. But then we're going against the short-haired halves pairing of Thomas Dearden and Daly Cherry Evans, who apparently no one has clocked onto the fact that Daly Cherry Evans has actually found the fountain of youth and continues to drink from it.
He could be making millions off of that.
Because he still doesn't appear like, even though he's 35 years old,
he's
very
getting
fast.
better. He's playing his best footy. Now, the halves, now you remind me, the news, which we didn't fit in the news.
Yes.
What's happening with Nico Hines' leg?
Well,
his groin's buggered up too, isn't it?
It was a bit sore, but
The left groin.
Well, that got totally blown out of the water by the fact that Dylan Edwards had the upper groin, but but it was Nico Hines' lower groin, lower
groins.
Yeah, which is the calf muscle. It's all attached.
Everywhere you look, it's just fellas' groins.
Yeah. Which I think Nico Hines is really going to wear this whole team on his shoulders because I think Jerome Luai works much better as a second fiddle. I think if he touches the ball often and always, we're not going to win this game.
And Nico already looks great in blue. We can see it here on the screen in his beautiful Sharks jersey. He looked great in the blue when he played for New South Wales last year, and Brad Fittler fed him to the Wolves, which I thought was a bit unfair. But
do you think this is the last chance saloon for Jerome Hughes?
Luai?
Jerome Luai, yeah.
Yes, I think that it is.
Yeah.
This is his chance to cast off the shackles that he's been attached to Nathan Cleary with. So I think Jerome really, really needs to have a good series to prove that he's not just Nathan Cleary's second-hand man. He can be Nico Hines' second-hand man.
Yeah.
If he plays a second fiddle, maybe if any fiddler at first fiddle, he's probably good.
Just as good fiddling.
Jet lag's kicked in. Jesus Christ.
Well, I think obviously with the the go to work
Jetstar.
go to work comments with you all have to go to work tomorrow, and it left a bit of a bad taste. Time for he can really make it up to all the New South Wales supporters. Hopefully he will. I'm not
I
sure
think
if
that
he
was
can.
Misconstrued though. He was directing that at the Queensland fans who were giving him rubbish.
Yeah.
But I think we all in our spurned and hurt state, we took it upon ourselves.
We took it upon ourselves.
Yeah.
It's going to be an interesting match.
It always is an Origin.
Yeah, I really
love it.
I really
bloody love State of Origin.
Important to win this one, Liam, because of course we have Game 3 in Queensland, Game 2's in Melbourne. Yeah. So even if we lose this one and we win the Game 2,
a decider in Queensland, that's a tough ass.
Basically never happens.
It's a very, very hard ass.
I feel like we have to do it every year.
Yeah.
And we never manage to do it.
Funnily enough, the only year all 3 games were in Queensland, we won the series. Didn't we remember with COVID?
2020?
It was 3 games in Queensland.
2020 we lost it.
Yeah, we lost the series 2020.
Yeah, 2021 was all in Queensland.
2021 was all in Queensland.
And we
won the series. So every game in Queensland was a decider.
Yeah.
Realistically.
Really, truly. Liam, I'll be at the Wickham Park Hotel to watch the game. You will be at the Wickham Park Hotel to watch the game.
You watch the game.
To watch me watch the game. It's very fun to watch. It's there on the big screen, the brand new big screen there at the Wickham Park Hotel.
How do we win? How do we win, Naggy?
How do we win?
Yes,
Oh, no,
we got to talk. How do we win?
Liam, I'll ask you
by
how
the
do we
Blues.
win.
My how do we win comes from the makeup of the back five.
Yes.
That has been the selections that have been made by Michael Maguire and whoever else is on the selection committee.
Yes.
They seem to have picked a back five based on something that the Panthers have been so good at for years, is hard work,
Okay.
honest, hard work from your back five,
Yes.
taking the load off the forward so they can do their honest hard work at the other end of the field. We've got Brian To'o, arguably the best yardage winger maybe of all time.
Yes.
You've got Lomax and Suwali. Suwali is just power. You just get him
Huge.
taking the first hit up, second hit up. He's going to make a lot of meters. Lomax, very good at that. Crichton, while it wasn't his bread and butter at Penrith, he still did it very, very well.
Yes.
So I think between those four, setting the pace,
Yep.
going very, very hard very early. And then, of course, I think Tedesco's in for an absolute monster game. Just give him the ball 40 times in the game. Good things are going to happen. Maybe 29, maybe 30 times of those 40 times.
Liam, how we lose? Unfortunately, I think there's members of this Queensland side that just that play too well into the hand of the Thomas did, and of course, if we get any lower groin injuries, we don't have any cover.
That's my concern. That's where I think the Blues could lose.
There's the likes of Hamasal,
Tabuai-Fidow
is just lightning. I don't think it's going to be game over if he gets some ball into some space. He's not a great creator of it, but if Queensland,
if it's created for him though,
Thomas Dearden's like
pretty damn good.
Little Jack Russell, of course.
Daly Cherry Evans, 100 years old, and yet he'll still outplay most people.
He will still outplay it. There's no Cameron Munster, but this is merely a trap that we're falling ourselves into.
Well, I think they purposely injured Cam Munster so they can give themselves the underdog status, forgetting that we have 5 halves out injured.
Yeah. I think but also Angus Crichton's playing such good football.
Best of his career.
That he potentially could take the
Liam
game.
Martin, remarkable.
Yeah.
Second row, doesn't worry me at all.
Our
It's
back row
fantastic.
is much better than theirs. But Liam, I'll be watching at the Wickham Park Hotel. The Wicco there, we'll be there from quite early on.
On an enormous new
screen,
screen, which
yeah.
we're very excited about. Cheap beers, cheap wings, cheap burgers, state of origin. What a sentence.
Yeah.
The best thing, the most noble and honourable thing you can do for your state, for state of origin, is just get massively pissed and yell a bunch.
Absolutely sabotage your whole week.
Yes.
Which is going to be wonderful. But if you like us, please like us on the following platforms: Instagram and SoundCloud, Apple Tunes, TikTok, YouTube, Spotify, Facebook.
They gave us the Rogan deal on Spotify.
All the social pipes. Thank you very much, Justice. Hopefully we'll catch you next week to talk about 2 wins, the Newcastle Knights and the New South Wales Sky Blues. We'll see you then.